The village sleeps, but in its heart, a fire rages. The flames rise higher, lighting up the night sky. A young widow, her eyes wet with tears, is brought before the pyre. Her husband's lifeless body lies upon the wood. The crowd chants louder, drums beat harder, and voices demand, "If you truly loved him, step into the fire." Her crime was not betrayal. Her sin was not dishonor. Her only fault was that her husband died before her. And now, her life is no longer hers to live. But how did love, a bond meant to bring two souls together, turn into a death sentence? The word Sati literally means the faithful wife. In its original spiritual sense, Sati was used to describe an ideal woman who was devoted, loyal, and pure-hearted toward her husband. It symbolized love, truth, and fidelity. The practice of Sati did not begin as a widespread tradition. Its earliest records trace back to the ancient Indian subcontinent, particularly among warrior classes and royal families. For them, Sati became a matter of family honor. If a queen burned herself on her husband's pyre, it was seen as proof of devotion and loyalty. Over time, religious texts were twisted. Verses that spoke of devotion were reinterpreted to demand sacrifice. Priests and elders declared that the purest wife was the one who followed her husband into death. What was once an occasional act became an expectation. Widows were told their lives held no meaning. They could not remarry. They were stripped of color, joy, and dignity. And so, society offered them a cruel choice: live in humiliation or die and be worshipped. But behind every so-called goddess created by the flames, there was a woman whose voice was silenced forever. And the fire began to spread. By the medieval period, Sati had spread across regions of India. Villages, towns, and courts celebrated it as a sacred duty. The widow was dressed in red, as though it were her wedding day, and led to the fire as crowds cheered. Some women went willingly, believing society's promise that their names would live forever. But many others resisted, and were forced, dragged, or even tied before being thrown into the flames. Imagine the terror: a young girl of 15, widowed, surrounded by hundreds demanding her death, her cries for life drowned out by the chants of priests, her trembling body consumed by the same fire that was meant to purify. And yet the world applauded. Society glorified her death while erasing her pain. But amidst this horror, a few brave voices began to question: was this truly devotion, or simply cruelty disguised as honor? In the late 18th century, a man named Raja Ram Mohan Roy witnessed a widow forced into the fire. The screams of that woman haunted him. He could not accept a society where women were sacrificed in the name of tradition. He spoke out: "True faith cannot demand death. True honor cannot be built on ashes." His words shook the foundation of centuries-old beliefs. Priests called him a heretic. Elders branded him an enemy of culture. But he did not stop. He wrote, he argued, he fought tirelessly to prove that Sati was not a divine law, but a man-made cruelty. His efforts reached the British Governor-General, Lord William Bentinck, and in 1829, a historic law was passed. The practice of Sati was abolished in India. For the first time, the flames were silenced by justice. But history had one last cruel twist to deliver. More than a century later, the unthinkable happened. On September 4th, 1987, in the village of Deorala, Rajasthan, an 18-year-old girl named Roop Kanwar became the face of a nightmare India thought it had left behind. Her husband had died only a day before. Dressed in bridal red, Roop was taken to the pyre. Villagers gathered. Some claimed she walked into the flames by her own will. Others swore she was forced. But when the fire consumed her, the echoes of the ancient past returned with terrifying clarity. The nation was shocked. Protests erupted. Women's groups demanded justice. Was this devotion or murder masked as tradition? In response, the Indian government passed the Commission of Sati Prevention Act, 1987. Not only was Sati criminalized once again, but even its glorification. Building temples, holding celebrations, calling a woman a goddess for dying, was made illegal. Roop Kanwar's death became a symbol, A reminder that even when laws change, mindsets can still drag society back into the fire. But could this be the last time, or will the flames rise again? The fires of Sati may be gone, but the mindset behind it still lingers. Even today, women are punished in the name of honor. Families silence them in the name of reputation. Traditions, when twisted, can still destroy lives. The story of Sati is not just about the past, it is a warning. It tells us that cruelty often hides behind sacred words. That silence allows injustice to thrive. And that one voice, like Raja Ram Mohan Roy's, can change history. But the question remains, when cruelty disguises itself again, will we recognize it? Or will we let the flames rise once more? The fire of Sati was put out, but the fire of blind tradition still smolders in our society. When it blazes again, not as flames, but as honor killings, oppression, or silence, will we have the courage to fight it? Or will history repeat itself in the ashes of the innocent?
The case may be closed, but Crimology never sleeps. Like and subscribe to join Crimology and step deeper into the dark with us.